The computer is a valuable tool. Once I have access to the information, the computer makes me more independent.
When I'm using a computer, I am like any other student.
The computer is a vital tool for education and employment. There's really nothing that does the variety of tasks that the computer can do, but it's not perfect.
That's because not everyone can use the standard computer. And that's where adaptive technology comes in. With a little extra hardware or software, computers and the internet can be accessible to people with a wide range of abilities and disabilities. Adaptive technology delivers a big payoff for a relatively small investment.
The cost of adaptive technology really is quite small, particularly when you look at the impact that that can have for a person able to do their job more effectively, more efficiently.
Adaptive technology addresses the challenges imposed by specific disabilities. For example, low vision.
I use a screen enlarger, which allows me to see everything on the computer screen that a normal person would see with regular type on the computer.
For someone who is sensitive to light, software can reverse the screen from dark on light to light on dark. Large print keytop labels may also be useful for people with visual impairments, especially if they're just learning to type. The most common adaptation for people who are blind is speech output.
The lab is well equipped with adaptive technology. Tours and demonstrations can be arranged by appointment.
Really, it helps me out a lot on the internet. I have voice output that reads everything that comes up on the screen, on the computer screen. So I'm able to access anything that I want to on the computer. And it's really helped me out a lot.
A scanner combined with speech output allows people who are blind to read printed materials.
A tall fellow in a Batman costume comes soaring out of the winter sky.
Other adaptations include Braille displays and Braille printouts. People with speech or hearing impairments can use their computers to communicate with friends, teachers, or co-workers.
I really like using the internet because it's easier to communicate with people rather than using the telephone. I can read it instead of listening, and it's easier for me to read it than to hear.
Yeah, the internet is helpful. It allows me to communicate more easily because of my voice. It allows me to say more and express myself more easily.
How are we playing
I'm sorry. I know.
this
Okay.
again? How are we playing this again?
There are places you could land where you're on blue and you're more conspicuous.
People who can't speak can use communication devices to participate in group discussions and one-on-one interactions.
It's like our army men wearing their clothes.
That's exactly right. Exactly.
Those who can't hear require visual alternatives to sound output.
When the computer speaks, they have ways of captioning that.
Every college should have either a disabled student services office or at least a contact person to assist you.
The computer system I use uses visual output rather than sound output, which means instead of making a chime or a ring, it blinks the screen.
People with learning disabilities can use a variety of software to help with reading and with writing papers. Adaptive technology ranges from spell check and grammar check to speech input and output.
Washington is leading the world in global health and building.
Schoolwork, it helps me because when me and my mom try to work to do it, we usually fight, and so it usually ends up being a bad consequence. So if I can do it on my own, it's way better.
Washington Phase 2 schedule August 7th to 13th.
I basically just use standard word processors with a grammar checker and a spell checker and dictionaries on the computer. Just using the word processor alone, it reduces the amount of time that it takes to write things.
I have a voice box that it will read it to me so I understand what I'm reading.
Was Helen Keller the first deaf-blind person in the United States to be educated?
And then when I have to read books, I just scan those so they can read the books to me so I don't have to spend 2 hours reading one page or something.
The things that I found really helpful have been speech-to-text programs. You know, you talk to your computer and it writes.
At the University of Washington, a variety of hardware and software.
I've written papers at college in, a quarter of the time that it would have taken me to type them by hand. With speech-to-text, I just say the word and it shows up on the screen.
Period.
People with mobility impairments have a wide range of adaptive technology options. For some, flexibility in the positioning of tabletops, monitors, and keyboards is helpful.
I use a mouthpiece that I type with. I can do at least 30 words per minute when the words are going from my head to the keyboard. I like to write lots of things, and were it not for computers and word processing and spell checking and things like that, it would take me ages.
I have a trackball, which I roll around, and I use sticky keys to hold down Control and Shift. The computer helps me type reports better, and it's easier on my arm. I don't have to wear my prosthetic.
One thing that I use is a keyboard where the keys are enlarged and there's more space between, because when I hit keys on the regular keyboard, I get double letters.
For people who need to type with only one hand, left and right-handed keyboards are available. You could also use an on-screen keyboard with a head pointer or a mouth stick for hands-free computer control. Word prediction software can increase speed and accuracy.
I have an on-screen keyboard, and it also has word prediction, to where I throw in a letter, let's say I throw in a T, and 5 words that start with T will pop up. The most common ones that I use, they'll pop up and I'll click on it and it'll just print it out. I got fairly fast.
Some people may choose to bypass the keyboard by using Morse code. A sip and puff switch registers dot with a sip and dash with a puff. Special hardware and software translate Morse code into a form that computers understand.
I'm a junior this year.
Other people may choose a speech input system to replace the keyboard.
I use a program that helps me type. Whatever I say, it type. I talk into the microphone and it types it out on the computer screen. It makes me feel a lot more independent and don't have to rely on somebody for so much, and that I can do it myself.
The internet can be accessed from almost any location, at any time that a person wants to use it. This is a real benefit for people with health impairments.
I think that computer can help hospitalized kids. When I was in the hospital for 1 month, I talked to other kids and I could socialize with them, and people send me mail, greeting mails to get well.
In the past year, I lived in a hospital, and an internet connection there allowed me to communicate with teachers.
I think that the internet is really helpful for students who miss school due to medical reasons, because it allows them access to teachers, resources, and fellow students, which can be very helpful.
For anyone with a disability, adaptive computer technology is a vital link to success in school and in work.
It's more fun. I mean, I've had people try to type for me, and you know, it's just no fun trying to tell someone else what to write. Like, I took a poetry class, and I felt weird trying to tell some friends or my age what I'm thinking and what I'm trying to put on paper.
I like using my computer because it helped me to be independent.
I virtually live on computers. On the computer, people are more on an even keel. On the electronic field, we're all equal.
For more information about IT accessibility, consult www.uw.edu/accessibility. The content of this presentation is based on work supported by the National Science Foundation under grant number 9800324. Any opinions, findings, and conclusions or recommendations expressed are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views of the National Science Foundation. Copyright 2015, University of Washington. Permission is granted to copy these materials for educational, non-commercial purposes, provided the source is acknowledged.